Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. It is me, your host, Joe Slepsky, and I am back from San Diego Comic-Con. Listeners, thank you so much. If you noticed last week, which would have been, what is that, August 7th? I did not put up a show because I got that dreaded San Diego COVID, and I was really, really laid up. So I didn't even have the get it together, we'll say, to put together an out of office for you guys. So I hope everyone had a great week. I'm back, not 100%, I don't think, but feel pretty good. That Paxlovid, that really knocks it out of you. Of course, Toiletile, she also got it from me. So, it's the gift that keeps on giving. But yeah, so we're back this week. I'm very excited with the little San Diego roundup. We're not drawing this week, so this is audio only. I hope, really, really, real quick, I really hope everyone enjoyed the Cobra Convergence 3-hour extravaganza. I know it was ridiculous, but I wanted to do the whole cover, so it took 3 hours. That's what it was. And I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you watched it. Hope you're probably still watching it. And remember, I'm going to give that away. So if you enjoyed it, if you want that original artwork, it's sitting here in my office. So I'll give it a couple more weeks, and we'll collect all of the entrants to the whatever. But really, I've had a couple of people reach out to me at joeonjoepod@gmail.com, sending me an email if you're interested in it, or tag me up on social media at joeonjoepod. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and just tag me up. Let me know you want it. Reach out and speak up. So we'll get out to you free of charge, and you'll have a cool little, I don't know cool, but you'll have my recreation to G.I. Joe number 31, which you can then sell on the black market when I eventually become like infamous for some kind of America's Most Wanted level criminal enterprise. You could say I have his hand drawn 31. So yeah, so if you're hearing this and you enjoyed that show and you want that, I don't think I was very clear on that. Yeah, totally giving it away. So reach out, let me know. Also reach out and say hi. Give the show a review on any of your podcast platforms that you're on. That's always appreciated. You can check out our Patreon. That's got all the videos from the Draw with Joe episodes, as well as our YouTube channel has all the videos from the Draw with Joe episodes. Check out our Patreon at patreon.com/joeonjoepod. Help support the show that way. And so it was great. It was great at San Diego Comic-Con. I really appreciate you guys. Did a lot of G.I. Joe stuff. I went with some Joe Bros, Paul and Jeremiah, and we did a lot of G.I. Joe chat and a lot of G.I. Joe shopping, man. Hit up that Hasbro booth. I got to meet Lenny and Emily. The Hasbro famous. So Lenny and Emily, that was really great. It was really, they're super, all the people at Hasbro are super great. They run a massively busy booth. So if anyone from there is listening, congratulations on running a great booth, literally logistically from start to finish. It was always very easy. Everyone was very friendly. Lots of smiles and lots of faces. They gave us a surprise Sergeant Slaughter visit. That was really cool. We got the variant Skybound G.I. Joe ash cans from going to the Hasbro panel and the Skybound panel, and got the G.I. Joe exclusive one. I think that was from Big Clutch. Was doing some eBay stuff. That's Sean Kirkham's eBay store, and picked those up. While I was in the Hasbro panel, I signed up to back the Rattler. That was a great, exciting announcement, exciting reveal for the HasLab. So I was there for the HasLab Rattler reveal. That thing looks amazing. You don't need me to promote it. Let's see, Super 7 we hit up. I did, contrary to my, pardon me, vocal naysay, I did pick up that black and white Snake Eyes G.I. Joe 21 Super 7 thing. I still say there's no, but enough. Let's do no more silent issue Snake Eyes toys. However, I was there, when in Rome, spend $20. So I grabbed that. I also grabbed the Zartan and the red, the other guy. His name's escaping me right now. So grab those from Super 7. I picked up some carded figures. I got Ozone and Back Blast. I got a Cobra Commander on card. There actually were quite a few carded stuff. A little later in the run, carded stuff. But there was one dealer there with a lot of early carded stuff too, actually. Like 85, 86 cards. And they were priced appropriately. So I didn't jump on those. But they were there. They were there to be had if you wanted them. I think my favorite G.I. Joe find from San Diego was a VHS tape of Worlds Without End. As soon as I saw that was an immediate yes, give that to me. It's sealed. I can't tell if it's sealed from like the original factory seal or if just, the seller, put some of his own plastic art. It's a very professional seal wrap on. So it's either a brand new sealed copy or it's just a really nice looking one. So that's on my shelf right now. I do have a VHS player. So I will be watching it one day, but it is not currently hooked up. But I do think that was my favorite G.I. Joe find. Oh, no, take that back. Rewind. Favorite G.I. Joe find, I got to meet Steve Aloha. That was my favorite G.I. Joe find. And just like I almost forgot it now, I wasn't even looking for him. I didn't even know he was there at the show. I didn't do a lot of planning. I just kind of walked around and looked at stuff for 5 days. But I was walking down one of the aisles and randomly I just glanced up and there he was. It was Steve Lee Aloha. I've enjoyed his work my whole life. I think he's fabulously talented. And to my recollection, never had a chance to meet him. So I did. He's got prints of the silent issue, some of the pages from there that he inked, over Larry's pencils. So he's got the 11 by 17, like wall prints and stuff. So I grabbed one of those, got his autograph on it. But it was really neat. It was really nice to meet him. I'd never had the opportunity, so that was pretty exciting. So that was my favorite Joe moment in a week full of Joe moments. So it was very exciting. Also, let's talk movies real quick because our sponsors are the Movies in the Middle podcast, who are fabulous. And I know you listened to their review of Deadpool Wolverine because I saw that too when we were in San Diego. That movie's great. I love it. I think structurally, like as far as like what the story is, if you care about that kind of stuff, I don't think it's great. Like there's a lot of weird stuff. Like I genuinely don't understand why the guy, the TVA guy even brought Deadpool there in the first place. Like if you're not there to punish him, you're trying to give him some, I guess this is spoilers alert, but you're trying to get him some weird get out of jail free card. But for what reason? Like it seems like only a plot contrivance just to get him in the action. So that was strange. However, 100% the rest of the movie and the fun of the movie and just the stupid of the movie made up for everything. Like there's no complaints. I give it a full throated. I loved it. I saw it twice. I'll probably see it a third time at least before it leaves theaters. Absolutely loved it. Hugh Jackman was awesome. I totally will watch him as much as he wants to, as much as I love Logan. And it made me rewatch Logan. I love Logan. It's so good. But yeah, man, Deadpool Wolverine was awesome. So give our sponsors, the Movies in the Middle podcast, give them a listen, see what they thought of Deadpool Wolverine. See if they loved it as much as I did. All the cameos are fantastic. No spoilers there, but I'm sure everyone knows what they are by now. They were just really great. I'll tell you what my favorites. I'll tell you exactly what my favorite cameo was. No one was asking for this. And I've heard no one online, except I imagine some like super deep cut, comprehensive, every single Easter egg in Deadpool Wolverine website put this together. But I saw no one mention this. The dude in the red and white striped shirt, that was the Russian from the Punisher movie, the Garth Ennis version with Thomas Jane. That was the Russian who in the comics was I think he had a female. He got murdered by Frank, and they saved his head or something, and they transplanted it into a female's body or something like that. But it was like a super comical. His whole experience was super comical, and he's in the second, or that Punisher movie with Thomas Jane, which technically is a second Punisher movie, and he's played by a big wrestler. It's not Brock. Is it Brock Lesnar? No, he's played by a wrestler or something in Punisher with Thomas Jane, and he was at the He's in that movie. He's in Deadpool Wolverine. I thought that was a great pull. I didn't see anyone mentioning that. It's in the credits. It's no secret, but I thought that was great. It was just really, really deep, doing a deep dive and a deep pull. So anyway, so that's enough. That's enough Deadpool Wolverine talk. We're here to talk about G.I. Joe. So this week, we're not doing Draw with Joe because I'm still not feeling great and don't feel like doing it. But I'm going to dive into... I wanted to do something a little bit different today, and it might be super fast. We might have a quick show today. But we're going to look at the G.I. Joe Real American Hero magazine. So we're going to give it the old Joe on Joe treatment. I'm very excited for that. This is the magazine that came out in winter of 1985. Oh, wait, before we go any further, two things. One, if you want to follow along with me and you don't have this, go to our friend Carson, his website at 3djoes.com, and just look up G.I. Joe magazine. You'll find it. He's got super high res scans of pretty much every page here, so you can follow along. My plan here is just kind of give a little bit of commentary on each page, but there is an original 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 4-page, 5-page, 6-page. I don't know. It's a short comic book written by Larry Hama in this. So and drawn by Paul Kirchner. It's called Hijack. So listen, if Larry Hama wrote it, I think that makes it canon. So I'm excited to cover that. I actually haven't read it yet as I'm recording this. So we're going to do it in person live as we go. And it's great. I subscribed to the G.I. Joe American Hero magazine as a kid. I absolutely had them. Some of the ones that I have are my own. I bought some of them also on eBay recently. I don't have all of them, but we're going to cover the ones that I do have at some point on the show. So we're going to start with this one today. The other thing to mention, and this is, you got to move really fast on this because he started these auctions last week. Carson from 3D Joe's has some really amazing artifacts up on eBay. They literally are ending tonight, Tuesday night, the 13th, and they're ending tomorrow on Wednesday, the 14th. And I think throughout the week, but like literally, if you hear this, jump on eBay right away. So I didn't record last week, and I wasn't even aware of it, so I didn't have any. Sorry for the lack of warning, is what I'm saying. But he's selling some of the high resolution art pieces that he used to make his great big book, The Art of G.I. Joe, and they're like old Kodachromes and really high res prints and stuff, artifacts from back in the heyday. Marketing pieces, 5x7, really high res photostats of the character bomb burst explosions, their profile pictures. So there's some great ones. There's a really great Baroness. There's Blowtorch. There's a lot. I've remember seeing Blowtorch. I think he had a Mutt Junkyard, Shipwreck. It's definitely a Storm Shadow. I did not see a Snake Eyes. And they're ending as we speak, but also there are some that are ending later on this week. So if you're hearing this, act fast. Go to eBay and search him up and check out that stuff. It's all very cool, and they would look really great on your wall. So G.I. Joe Real American Hero, winter of 1985. So it would have been, and it's when they're calling the winter, it's like the start of 85, I believe, end of 85. Yeah, so winter would be the end of 85, going into the spring of 86. So winter would be the end. So this is heading into 1986. So I was 10 years old. You were 10 years old. And it's great. It's got a great cover. The cover looks, well, to be fair, the cover looks like it was pieced together from, like the junkyard on it is the file card. Looks like it's pieces, artifacts from the file cards come to life. Cover Girl, Duke, Mutt Junkyard, Roadblock. They're standing on a rock with an American flag waving behind Cover Girl. A dragonfly behind them. You've seen this cover. It's really great. Bright blue. Action-packed story. There's a free poster inside. Secret codes, games, more. There's all kinds of great stuff in this. There's a sweepstakes inside. Really, really cool. Yeah. This is one I definitely had. When you flip it and you go to the interior page, first thing you get is an advertisement just straight up for the Transformers. Gorgeous cover paint, gorgeous painted artwork. It's Transformers fighting in space. I love this version of Optimus Prime. This was when they were drawing him very toy specific, so he's got those thin needle arms. Like he looks like a toy. He doesn't look like a, he doesn't look like a truck. He looks like whoever painted this it's very toyetic. So it's cool. You've got the Autobots fighting the Decepticons in space. It's kind of got it's got a Ken Stacy vibe to it. So I believe it's airbrushed. So it's a 2-page spread. So they're promoting Transformers. And I'm sure in the Transformers magazine, they were cross-promoting a G.I. Joe. We get a Bigfoot. Step up to Bigfoot, the 4x4x4. You remember 1980s? Put yourself there. There was nothing better than smashing cars with other cars. And Bigfoot led the way. This is the Bigfoot. I don't know if this is the one that had the claws that came out. There was one toy, one of these monster truck toys that had claws that actually popped out of the wheels. I don't think it's this one. You don't see it in there, but it's the Bigfoot. It's got a roll bar for crashes, dual shift knob for forward and reverse. So this one's battery powered. 2-wheel drive for flat out action. I never had a Bigfoot. My friend did though. Yeah, my friend totally had a Bigfoot. So we go to the next page and we get Salute from Duke. And it's a letter to all our G.I. Joe fans. G.I. Joe team has joined forces to bring you our very own magazine. These pages are packed with action stories, articles, games, and puzzles. There's even a special poster in the middle of the magazine featuring the new G.I. Joe characters coming in 85. Also, be sure to enter our magazine sweepstakes and be a winner. Complete the maze on the last page and send it in today. And remember, as you march through the pages of G.I. Joe magazine, keep alert, watch out for the enemy, and enjoy yourself. Signed, of all people, Duke. So let's put our head in the headspace of, fiction and having fun with life. We know Cobra has magazines. That was from the cartoon. We know this. We know they have great marketing. If I'm holding this magazine and it says it's from Duke, doesn't that make it a real world artifact? Doesn't that mean G.I. Joe also had their own magazine? Did we finally get the G.I. Joe marketing up on par with the Cobra marketing? I think we did. There's also a flag point alert here. There's 12 hidden flag points throughout the magazine. Try to locate all of them. And I believe you could cut these out and use them to actually redeem actual, use the flag points to redeem stuff. You could do it. So if you wanted to mutilate your magazine, you could get some free flag points. Next page, we got a advertisement for the Power Rods Racers. You charge them up and charge them out. I think it looks like there was some kind of handheld thing that got them revving up, and then they would shoot out. This is from Play School. We've got a table of contents. We've got the a picture of Duke in there. There's an article in this, and this is actually timely because there's an article about the Olympics in this magazine. There's also an article about space. So there is I don't know who this. Oh yeah, cover illustration and poster by Hector Garrido. So the great Hector Garrido gave us the cover illustration. That's why it looks just like the file cards, because it is Hector. I didn't see that earlier, and I looked online, couldn't find it. I do think he repurposed Junkyard, though. That seems to be the same Junkyard, which is awesome, and his want. All right. So we get mail call. Got a bunch of letters here from a bunch of G.I. Joe fans. I don't know if anyone's out there listening. We do have a secret flag point on this page. Ding, ding, ding. So page 6 has a secret flag point. Also page 7. They're not hidden very well, everyone. So listen, we're not going to read the letters, but we're going to read the people. If you're out there listening and you have a letter in this, awesome. I don't know where these letters came from. Since this is the inaugural issue of the magazine, I'm very curious. Oh, maybe from the fan club? Yeah, it must have been from the fan club. Because here we go. I heard there was going to be a new G.I. Joe magazine. I'm really excited about it. I'm a member of the G.I. Joe fan club. I heard about the G.I. Joe magazine. That must be what it was. So kids must have solicited letters. I imagine they solicited letters from the fan club, which we've talked about a little bit in the past. There's a drawing by Chris Perry of Breaker. That's awesome, first of all. His arm is broken, but awesome. There's also a drawing of... Chris Perry's is prolific. It's the Ammo Depot, and that might be Hawk there. One of the green shirts. It's the Ammo Depot toy. And then there's also a drawing from Robert Horton, who did the Mobat. And it's actually a really good Mobat. Like, it's small, but it's not a terrible Mobat. It's just black and white pencil. So we've got letters here from Peter Lucas out of Trenton, New Jersey. Brian Franklin, from Portland, Maine. John Davies from out here in Stockton, California. Mark Aiello from Santa Barbara, California. That's close to home. Randy Silvers from Longview, Texas. James Budagian from Des Moines, Iowa. And Francis Dunn from Seattle, Washington. So, listen, guys, if you know any of these young G.I. Joe fans, if they're still in the G.I. Joe community, reach out and let me know. That'd be fun to connect to them and get their take. Like, how did they know about it before the magazine existed? And two, how excited were they when they got this? I know modern days, we've got a lot of our Joe friends showing up in the letters pages of the Skybound stuff. That's very exciting to see. So, Indicia's in here, published by Telepictures. The publisher is Donald Welsh. Editorial director is Kathy Dobbs. Design director is Greg Leeds. Executive editor is Dina Anastasio. Design assistants Adrian Stark and Tracy Glick. Isn't literally Tracy Glick from the movie Election? And I'm not kidding. That's weird. Advertising director Maureen Klings. Associate advertising director Lindsay B. Randolph. Promotion director Pip Klein. Production manager Bob Coddington. Carrie Smith was your advertising coordinator. Your newsstand circulation consultants was David Mizell and Howard Eisenberg. And from Hasbro, the chairman was, at the time, was, of course, Stephen Hassenfeld. Alan Hassenfeld was the executive VP. Steve Schwartz, vice president of marketing. Dan Owen, or it was the senior vice president. Dan Owen was just the vice president. Associate vice president, a lot of vice presidents of marketing, was Robert Prupis. Jim Engel. Jim, I know I've seen Jim Engel's name out there. He was the senior product manager. And product managers John Lindsay and David Kelman coming in hot from Hasbro. So we've got a 2-page spread of a thing they call On Target. And this is their section with, there's 3 hidden flag points on this page. These are about like up and coming events, like things that are happening in the now for kids. So there's a new ABC hit program about a family living on an Air Force base in the 1960s called Call to Glory. And then it's on Monday nights from 8 to 9. They want you to watch that. It looks like Coach. Yeah, Craig T. Nelson plays Colonel Rainer Sarnak. The government wants send for a free catalog from the U.S. government. You can order posters, books about the space program. So they give you the address for that. All kinds of other stuff. So this seems like it's like a community calendar page. An advertisement for the Staten Island Children's Museum. Staten Island Children's Museum. That just sounds like a children's museum that opened up in a prison. All right. So now we've got Behind Enemy Lines on the next page. And this is actually a 2-page spread, which is a game. And it's to be the first player to successfully maneuver one of his figures into the other player's camp. So they want you to use your G.I. Joe figures, or you can use coins or other objects. But G.I. Joe figures is always going to be more fun. You know what this looks like? It looks very much like the battle attack game, the big fat giant board game where it had the stand-up figures, and then you could also had the pegs that you could put your figures on. You move your figures one space forward or sideways. The other player then moves one of his forward and sideways. Blah blah blah. They can't go diagonally. You can't move in a restricted area. If a player moves into space occupied by their player who was in the space first loses. And that figure is captured. So this is basically chess. like progressive chess. Yeah, this is totally the what is it? The Battle Attack game. I have it. It's literally in my closet right now. I'm blanking on it. They're a really great game though. The one with the cardboard bivouac and the jail cell and stuff. And yeah, that game was great. Next page, we got an advertisement and subscription certificate for G.I. Joe and the Transformers comics from Marvel. So for only $6.50 per title, you're getting a year's worth of G.I. Joe and Transformers. It's 4 extra issues, 32% savings over the newsstand price of $9.60. Imagine a year's worth of G.I. Joe comics for only $9.60. Dear God. A bonus certificate. Well, that's just this. They're calling it a bonus certificate. That's just really the subscription certificate. Oh my God, it's 16 issues. I take it all back. It's more than that. It's not even a year's worth. It's not even 12. It's 16 issues. Although this might have been the 85. Remember they went bi-weekly? I think that was later though. That had to be like 87 or something. 80. Yeah. Anyway, 16 issues for only $6.50. So for $13, you can get both G.I. Joe and the sign me up. We next get a piece about the space shuttle. Sorry, going to space. It's a little 4-page spread here. This is the poster, so mine is still attached. And if you open it up, it is the full roster. What is that? I believe that's the 85 guys with Quick Kick and Barbecue, and Dusty and Lady J and all those guys. It's the poster that I believe it's the poster that was just put out on that Super 7 puzzle that just came out. They recently put out there. I know I have it sitting on my shelf. I've been staring at it because I want to put it together. So this is that poster. So if you want, get yourself a second copy of this, and then you can go ahead and hang this on your wall. Don't deface your original copy. Don't do it. I know you want to. Don't do it. So it's a neat little, paragraph per item description kind of article thing about going into space with a space shuttle. They cover Howard Hughes' Spruce Goose. They talk about the Concorde, rest in peace. They talk about blimps, rest in peace. They talk about that dude in the jetpack that looked like the Jump jetpack that from the 80s. Remember, he was flying everywhere all the time. What happened to that? No, I know that there's like the Aqua jetpacks now, but it's straight up dude in a jetpack. I feel like we need more of that. Anyway, they got Da Vinci's flying machine in here as well. And it's funny, the last page, they talk about the Sky High, the future, it's the fighter of the future, the forward swept wing design of the X-29A will allow tomorrow's jets to fly faster, smoother, and they will cost less to produce. That's the Conquest X-30, everybody. That's really cool. So now we've got a game page called Codebreakers 1. In the space code, you can change the space between words. Can you decode the message and answer the question? Change who was the second man to step on the moon. Who was the second man to step on the moon? Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. So it'd have to be Buzz Aldrin. I hope I'm right. The backwards alphabet codes, etc. Not very Joe-centric. So now here we go. Here we get to Hijack. This is a G.I. Joe comic book adventure that I got to tell you, I don't think I've read since probably since 1985 when I had this magazine. Written by Larry Hama. So you know what that makes it. Canon, everybody. Canon. We said the artist was, who did we say the artist was? It was a name I wasn't familiar with, but Paul Kirchner. Very, very perfect for a magazine. I'll say that. There's not a lot of hatching. It's all very cartoon. It's very loose. So very clean lines. The characters look very, I wouldn't say Sunbow-ish, but they're They're not heavily rendered. That's the words I'm trying to find. They're not heavily rendered like you might find in a comic book at the time. Everything's very bright and very vivid colors, which to my eyes looks perfect for a comic book adventure inside of a mass market magazine. You're going to have a lot of kids. You're going to have a lot of, you're going to have adults. All the characters are on model. Everything looks really cool. It is a 4 page, 4 page adventure. And here we go with Hijack. So Mayday, Mayday. The space shuttle, the U.S. space shuttle. Do they say which one it is? I don't think they named it, but the space shuttle, which because there were a few different ones, is landing, and we know that it glides to a land. It doesn't really thrust, but they have thrusters going on this. But it's landing, and it's under attack by a couple of rattlers. That seems unfair. And whoever's flying in the Rattler, which it turns out is Baroness, she says, we're not unknown and we're not attacking you. We're Cobra and we're hijacking you. And Wild Weasel says that's a subtle difference. But, the Baroness is a stickler for accuracy. So we've got it's a 3/4 page full spread. Very cool. Shuttle landing. They're in a desert, kind of Utah-ish. As the Joes would later be camped. They weren't there yet in 85. But it's out in the desert. And what I really dig about this first panel is the Rattler pops off this page, man. It's really good. It breaks the gutters of the bottom 2 panels, which one is a mid-shot close-up of showing you who's in the Rattler, which is the Baroness and Wild Weasel. And they use their names and everything, so it identifies for everybody. And then it cuts to... This is where it's a little... They're not, it's the dudes flying the space shuttle, but they're not in astronaut gear. They're not in spacesuits. So it's a little, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with these dudes. But obviously it's the dudes in the space shuttle. And what's cool about the angles is he does knock the camera from pointing left to pointing right. What that accomplishes is in your head, in your mind's eye, as you're reading this, it puts both people in those panels on opposite sides of the coin. Camera's looking one way at the bad guys, it's looking the other way at the good guys. So it sets them up instantly as adversaries on the comic book page. That's the shorthand for that. So we turn the page, and we get later, and the G.I. Joe team has arrived, and they are in full force to find this hijacked, kidnapped space shuttle. He says, Ace, this is Duke. We'll be ready to start the ground search procedures as soon as we get our hardware offloaded. I don't suppose you got the shuttle spotted for us already. So we got Ace, Brad Armbruster, flying overhead trying to find this shuttle. And he says, not a chance. And it's a nice drawing. It's a half-page spread this time. You've got CoverGirl in the Wolverine. She's talking to Wild Bill. I would say, why is Wild Bill not in the air searching for this in a Dragonfly? That seems it might be a little more helpful than a Sky Striker flying at whatever Mach it is. But you do see Ace in the background, so that's cool. It's a nice use of perspective. Gives a nice distance because Duke is very much in the foreground. And then in the midground, it's gung ho as well with the Wolverine. And then in the background, you've got a Vamp. It might be a Mark II, but you've got I think it is. Yeah, it is because it's got the missiles on it. You've got a Vamp that's driving off a C-130, and there's a bunch of green shirts. I don't really recognize anyone specifically. It could be like a grunt, but there's a bunch of green shirts that are helping that come off the plane. We see that same kind of mid cockpit close up. It says it's got Ace's name, Armbruster, on the side of the cockpit. That's really great, especially for toy stuff, to identify them, make sure the kids know who they're talking about, the names and stuff. It says he's been crisscrossing the area for hours. Not a sign of the shuttle, but that's also because I'm traveling at Mach 2. But he says he's got no visual trace, no radar, nothing. But again, is the Sky Striker really the best plane to be using for radar? But he says it's like they disappeared off the face of the earth. And in a weird bit, well, no, it's not a weird bit, actually. It's just time passes here. And this is the thing that comics are great about. So it started with a conversation between Duke and and I think that's the APC as well in the picture. Yeah, between Duke and Ace, and he's talking to him on the phone. And then the camera moves with Ace, and he's continuing this conversation with Duke. Close up of the cockpit. There's nothing on his radar. But then the next shot we get, he's still in the conversation with Duke, except now Duke's in the Dragonfly with Wild Bill. That is an economy of conversation, economy of space that comic books can do. TV shows do it too. I mean, TVs and movies do it too. It's like when they're like, we're leaving our house and we're in mid conversation, and then they cut to, we're all the way downtown at the city hall, and we're finishing that conversation. And it's great because you watch it and your brain sees it in real time. So you're like, oh yeah, they're having the same conversation. But if you extrapolate that out, you're like, those people really just didn't. Those people couldn't finish that conversation in the 45 minutes it took to drive to City Hall? Really? That's weird. But we don't think it's weird because it's being presented to us in tight sequence. So that's what's happening here. It's the same conversation, but in that time, Wild Bill and Duke were able to get up in the Dragonfly, and they're now flying over the desert. We've also got Roadblock and Clutch, and it's a V2 Clutch. They're looking at a map to try to find it. They get a little sexist. They give a little "Don't get lost" cover girl. I'm gonna say, and she laughs at Clutch. Says, "You're the one that can't read a map," which he denies. But it's a good thing that Roadblock has the map, because I can't fathom any map that doesn't list 3-star restaurants. I love that. Character. So we go to the next page, and now we get Spirit joins the fray. So this really is it's just a toy feature comic, which is great and fine and fun, because now we get Spirit, and he's in front of the APC. So someone calls him, "Hey, there's nothing out there, Spirit," and he says, "Only the wind, Gung Ho, and the ghosts of the buffalo." So if he's there and Gung Ho is there, that might be Spirit. No, he's not. He's not really in that. He's not in that first picture. But so the ghosts of the buffalo. So we're establishing who Spirit is. Although he's looking off in the distance. So we're actually seeing Spirit's back. That's his only appearance in this. I would say you draw him towards us. That would be my editor note here. Is I like the picture, I do, but you have him looking towards us. However, the next panel is Cover Girl, and she's looking towards us, and in her binoculars we actually see smoke. So that's it's a fun visual trick. Works really well in comics. Works great when they pull it off in movies. We've got the missiles drawn behind her, which is nice. You easily could have done this in a with no background or just a sky or whatever, but this is cool. He took the time to put the toy in there. I'm sure that was a directive. But she looks everywhere. Wait, she sees some smoke rising out of the middle of Clutch's sector. So Duke and Wild Bill, they're now screaming in the Dragonfly. It's also popping the panel border, which adds to that 3D effect. Same thing we got with the Rattler on the first page. Really looks great. Very toyetic. The rotors aren't drawn, which is weird. There's a very brief circular rotation above the rotor, and I get it. You don't, if you just show there, but there needs to be more rotor there, because otherwise it looks weird. But like there is in the second panel. Second panel, you see plenty of rotor. So maybe they drew it and it was too much, because you also have some dialogue balloons there. So I can see the argument both ways. I imagine based on that he drew in the next panel, they were probably drawn there. They probably pulled them because you got dialogue balloons, and it would clutter up the page. I'll tell you what though, I'd like to see what that looked like with some of that rotor popping over the top of the whole border. That actually would be cool. But underneath the Stalker and the Cover Girl panels, I think that would look really, really cool. And then next we've got a background shot, again highlighting just how great this Dragonfly was as a toy. Arm All Systems. We're going to shoot that space shuttle. And Wild Bill is taken aback. Well, I'll be. And we get a Duke. What the? Now this is where Larry, who obviously knows how to write a comic book, this is how you write a comic book. Your page ends, you need to give the reader something to move on to the next page. And it ends with your two leads, or in this case, your one lead, really, Duke. But your two characters that you're following, both staring at something, and that something is the direction of the next page. They're not looking to the left, so that's great storytelling. They're looking to the right, which takes your eyes to the next page. They're also shocked. You don't know what it is they're looking at, and it makes you want to flip to the next page. If you were doing this in like a traditional, if you were counting the pages of a regular comic book, you would want this to be, I would say you would want this to be like the right-hand side page, so that when you flipped it and you never even saw anything or whatever was on the next page, that would be your big surprise. But it's great. It's a great example of how to do storytelling in comic books. So what happens is the space shuttle is landed, but it also looks like a rattler is broken down. It says, sorry we didn't raise you on the communication net sooner, Duke. But as you can see, we had our hands full around here. Now, is my thing missing some interior pages? Hold on. We may have made a discovery here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go to 3D Joe's and look at their... No, it's not. It's not missing any pages. There was just no action. I really thought there might have been like a page of action that we were missing, but no. So the fight that took place between, when she said it was the middle of Clutch's sector, the smoke she saw, that was Clutch knocking the Baroness and Wild Weasel out of the sky. Actually, he says, we let Ace have some fun tracking down the Baroness and Wild Weasel in the Sky Striker. So we don't exactly know who shot who. Now, I gotta think maybe because this is what it is, an all ages kids magazine, they might not have wanted the depiction of the violence. And that checks if you look throughout this whole thing. There's no guns being fired. There's no violence really in all this. So I'm gonna actually really lean on that. I do think that was the caveat here. They couldn't actually show it. So it's a fun way to do that. You just see the smoke, and then the people you're following just show up too late, and they're like, "Oh, we missed all the action." So Roadblock and Clutch saved the day. And Duke says, "How did you guys do it? We searched this whole desert, high and low." He goes, "Expert map reading. That's what did it. We were driving along this ridge, and I noticed that where this deep depression is on the map, the actual desert below us was flat. Deducing the rest was elementary. Cobra simply stretched a camouflage net across the depression and hid the aircraft under it. They were willing to wait until we gave up the search." "Pretty clever," says Duke. "And nothing clever about it," says Roadblock. "Old Clutch looks at the map and sees a hole. He looks at the desert and he don't see nothing. He figures there's no hole in the desert. I must be lost. So he fires a salvo of rockets into the desert to make the hole so he won't be lost anymore. And he scores himself a Cobra tank smasher." So we learn that Clutch was trying to not be lost. He wanted to leave a landmark for himself to not be lost. And that's when he hit the tank smasher, which is the Cobra Rattler. That's very funny. They must not have been able to show it. You do have one Rattler that's making a getaway. So one Rattler, and that's the Baroness and Wild Weasel one. So that's very funny. That's how they caught it. And you could see, if you look closer, you could see the drawing of the space shuttle. The cover they're talking about, the camouflage, is still half torn over it. It's not very apparent what it is when you first look at it, but once you describe it, you can see it. It's like it looks like a torn piece of canvas. Very well done. Very, just nicely, very clean, nicely laid out. By Paul Kirchner, did we say? Paul Kirchner. Really, well done. I like it. Really well done. Very clean lines. It's very much got a Herb Trimpe feel to it. It's like if Herb Trimpe was told to really, really just draw the action figures exactly how they look as action figures. They're all very on model, and they look really, really great. So that's a lot of fun. So that's the end. That's it. We get another Code Breakers contest page with a couple of hidden flag points on there. Then we get a page that has all the answers for all the other games in there. An advertisement for the Family Home Entertainment VHS tapes. It's that advertisement with Gung Ho and Duke and Scarlett on there. Well, Duke, now that we've joined forces with Family Home Entertainment, we'll lick Cobra for sure. Just because FHE is releasing G.I. Joe Real American Hero on video cassette doesn't mean those snakes are whipped. And Scarlett says, not even if our tape is so affordably priced at $39.95 that every kid can own a copy. Now, that is wild. But if you know anything about VHS tapes in that era, VHS tapes were not $39.95. They were $100 or more because they were primarily being sold to video rental houses. So the rental house would get charged the premium cost of $100, $200, whatever the number was. And then that's how they would make their money up. They'd rent it out 50 times and make money on it. It wasn't until the late 80s, early 90s that they started pricing VHS tapes affordably for you to own in your own home. I remember early on there was a movie that I really, really wanted because I had a nice VHS collection at some point, and it was like $100, but I really wanted it, and it was hard to find. I think I made the mistake and paid a bunch of money for it, but eventually everything dropped to what we all saw, we all lived through. Going to Best Buy and buying it for $20, $25, and now they're DVDs and Blu-rays, and then they're slowly dying as well. So physical copies are going away. So technically, I guess $40 for a VHS in 1985 realistically was not a bad price, but that's still a lot of money, especially $40 and $85. But I think the video stores are paying like $100 for them. So anyway, we've also got now this. It's called Top Secret G.I. Joe. It's by Dina Anastasio, illustrations by Bob Camp, and it's a little 2-page like puzzle fun game thing. It's kind of neat. It's got nothing to do with G.I. Joe, but it's a fun thing for kids to do. We've got a story on the 6 real American heroes, the United States men's gymnastic team. This would have been when they competed in 1984. Oh, here we go. Mitch Gaylord. Yeah. Tim Daggett, Scott Johnson, Mitch Gaylord, Jim Hardung, Peter Vidmar, and Bart Connor. Yeah, I remember Mitch Gaylord. Awesome. American Eagle. He wasn't the kid in Iron Eagle. No, Mitch Gaylord had it was like a gymnastics movie or something. There's a enter the G.I. Joe magazine sweepstakes puzzle to get to the center of the circle, find the Cobra. All you got to do is draw it and then mail it in. And then the last page is pretty cool, especially on mine because it's still in here. It's the G.I. Joe team wants you. It's the order form for the fan club. And it's got a cool fold out that you can use to, yes, join the fan club, but also order your G.I. Joe figures. Remember the mail order stuff that would be? Yeah, man, this is cool. So you could have ordered, and let's see, like the order form itself, has listings for, you could order a Flak, a Jump, a Manta, a Hal, Cobra Commander. They want you to order plenty. Oh, and it's a flight point redemption. That's what this is. I'm sorry. That's what I'm reading here. The MMS, or you can order a set of G.I. Joe headbands and wristbands, or you could set of posters to the Rescues and Stars and Stripes Forever, which are those dope posters that came as prints in the Art of G.I. Joe 3D book. Yeah, so for 10 flag points, you could have got yourself a Flak. Jump was 5, Manta was 5, Hal was 10, Cobra Commander, Coco was 7, the MMS was 10, the wristbands were 8, and the posters were 8. Those are all awesome. And then you could join the G.I. Joe Mobile Strike Force team, the fan club, for just $5. Yeah, let's see on here. I redeemed a few of these. Let's see. I never had the posters. They're so good, but I have them now, fools, suckers. Never had the headbands. They're awesome. I never owned a Flak. I almost bought one, actually, at San Diego. There was a guy that had one, and I should have just snapped it up. It was like $20. I should have just grabbed it because I've never had a flak. But I did have the jump jetpack. Jump jetpack with the landing base was so cool. I got that through this program. I got the Manta through this program. I had the Manta. That was awesome. I loved how it packed up on the backpack. The HAL, heavy artillery laser, I never had a HAL. But that was great because it hooked to the Vamp. Anything with a hook is awesome. Coco, hooded Coco, this is how I got my Coco. I traded in my points, and I got my Cobra Commander through this. I never owned a, what do you call it, mask Cobra Commander. I only had the hood Cobra Commander. And then an MMS. I never owned an MMS either. Those early like sets like that, the MMS, the Alpha, that was right before me. And so when I got into it, it was straight to some of the more advanced stuff from the like 85, 84, 85 stuff. So that's it, guys. And the last page, we have an advertisement for robotics. Remember robotics? The battery powered, really cool, like literally robotics, like automated toy. You could it's like putting a Lego together, but there were all the gears so you could make it do stuff and clamp its fingers and move its head and things like that. There were 5 little pads that you could press. Robotics is really cool. So there's an ad for robotics on the back. So that's it, guys. That's it for the G.I. Joe magazine, Real American Hero premiere issue, winter 1985. Very exciting. I love it so much. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome aboard, new listeners. I met a bunch of you at San Diego. Passed out a bunch of business cards. Hopefully you're tuning in. Hopefully you didn't tune in last week and was like, there's no show. Screw this guy. But you guys are the best. Yo, Joe. And now you, Joe. And Joeing is half the battle.